And we are here for our 1 month update already. I feel like I just posted my birth video and it's crazy. I guess it's because I took time off from YouTube after I gave birth, and that's why it feels like it went so fast. And here all of a sudden I am doing our 1 month update. So here we are. This little guy's already 1 month old, and I'm going to first do an update of how he's doing and then an update on how I'm doing. You can already see that he has grown, you guys. He is growing like it is going out of style. This kid, you won't believe this, he has grown 2.5 pounds since birth. 2.5 pounds and about 1.5 inches to 2 inches. I mean, we last measured him last week, so it could be a full 2 inches right now. It's nuts. This kid, he's like my son Alex was. He's a giant baby. He just could not wait to get out of the womb so that he would have space to grow. At 1 month, he is in 3-month clothes. He blazed through the newborn clothes and the 0 to 3 month clothes. He was in each of those for like maybe a week each. Oh my goodness. He might want to nurse. So, speaking of nursing and growing, he is doing really well. He is an amazing nurser, as you might guess, given that he has grown 2 whole pounds in 1 month. He latched on amazing right at the beginning. You probably saw that in my birth video. In fact, if you haven't seen my birth videos, I'll have those linked in the cards here. Definitely watch those. I really enjoyed putting those together, by the way. I'm just so glad that we have that memory now. So during the day when he is awake, this kid cluster feeds all day long. And thank goodness he does not cluster feed all night long, but that's my goal. I say if he wants to cluster feed all day long, that is fine with me if he wants to sleep more at night. So during the day, he has been cluster feeding. So when he is awake, he literally nurses like every 20 minutes, almost on the dot. It's like, we call it the feeding timer. It's like, we know, oh, we have this amount of time left before the feeding timer goes off. And sure enough, he starts screaming and it's time to feed him again. So that is how he is getting so big so fast, is he is just nursing all the time. We haven't had any issues with latch. So right at the beginning, in the first couple of days, even his first night, he was having a couple of episodes when we would lay him down in the bassinet. He would like cough and gag and then he would spit up. We thought that maybe he was just going to be a big spitter, you know, maybe had reflux or something like that. But it only lasted for like 2, maybe 3 days. And we talked with the people at the hospital about that, and they said that it's likely because he came out so fast. I only pushed for maybe 5 minutes, so his lungs weren't being compressed in the birth canal for very long. He just got a lot of fluid in his lungs and in his nasal passages and everything, and in his ears. And so they actually say that that's pretty normal for a baby that's been delivered quickly, is that they just have to like work it out of their system, and that's what they do. They just kind of spit up and it gets out that way. It's good that he ended up not being a spitter. Since then, it really hasn't been much of an issue. So that was good, but that was something that we were kind of dealing with right at the beginning, and it startled me a couple times because it really sounded like he was like gagging, like having trouble breathing, but then he would work it out and it was okay. So then the second night, he was incredibly fussy. He was a little crabby butt. Weren't you? You were a little crabby butt. He just would not be put down that night. He was just extremely fussy, and it seemed like he was in pain or uncomfortable. We finally figured out that he was having tummy trouble, and we think in retrospect now it was just like his digestive system just ramping up and getting started, and you know, just getting used to working, and that was an uncomfortable process for him, learning how to digest milk. I was thinking at first that maybe it was like something that I was eating, like a food allergy, something like that. I thought maybe it was dairy or coffee or something like that, but then after a couple of days he stopped having that problem, but at the time he was very fussy. It was kind of stressful at the time, you know, because he was up all night, uncomfortable, and seemed like he was in pain. And ultimately we ended up giving him gripe water, and we also had infant gas drops, and so we gave him both of those things, and that seemed to really settle his stomach. And so that really helped while he was going through that little phase. And then it seemed like it kind of resolved itself. I was really wanting to not have to avoid things in my diet if possible. So I'm really glad that that ended up not seeming like a long-term issue. Are you going to talk to me? Are you going to talk to me? Yeah. Hey, let's turn this way so they can see you. So as you can see, at 1 month now, especially in this last week, in his 4th week, he's really started getting interactive. He's just very alert, very aware of what's going on. He has these wide eyes, which was the same thing that my son and my daughter did when they were this age, where they're just very intent and very interested and inquisitive in what's going on around them. He's fascinated by lights, which is pretty normal for newborns, and he loves faces, loves faces. He's doing all of the normal like social milestones where he's starting to smile in response to things, and it's the cutest thing. So as you can see, he also does really like to push his head back like that. And I took him to his 1 month appointment. His nurse practitioner was, you know, saying, oh, it's just something to keep an eye on. I think it could just be like a torticollis kind of thing, she said, that can be like be helped with physical therapy, that kind of thing. I mean, she says probably nothing, but she's going to send me to Children's just to have his neck checked, just to make sure everything is okay. But she's not too terribly concerned. We're just covering all of our bases. So in terms of sleep, it's funny, I've done this twice before, and I have like my methods and everything for getting baby into a sleep rhythm. And it's funny, now that I'm like thrown into the trenches again, I'm like, what the heck am I doing? It's like I know what I need to do, but it's funny that in the moment I'm just like flustered again. I'm like, hasn't even been that long. It's been 2 years, but you know, 2 years is 2 years, and I'm like, what the heck am I doing with sleep? But we are starting to figure it out. What I have been doing with just beginnings of trying to get him in a sleep schedule is all the things that I did before. And I actually made a whole video talking about how I get infants to sleep more consistently, and I will link that here. I made that video when my daughter was born. So I'm doing a lot of those same things now. I feel like there's these two extreme camps. It's like you either bed share or you cry it out. It's like, I don't feel like it has to be that extreme like most things in parenting. The very beginnings of a sleep schedule with him. Oh, little stinker, you just keep dropping that binky where mommy can't reach it. Oh my goodness. He looks like he's plotting. So anyway, it's a happy medium. I really don't feel like I'm in one camp or another. I feel like I'm generally pretty gentle, but I do believe in sleep training and getting my child into healthy sleep habits and into a routine. And I think that can be done mostly without tears right now. Oh, goodness. He wants to nurse again. So how I mostly just start with getting them in a routine is just routine. It sounds so simple, but just doing the exact same thing night after night after night, just starting to make those sleep associations, like when we swaddle, when we turn on the white noise, when the lights go down. Those are signals that it's time for nighttime sleep. And I think that he is starting to catch on to that. And he's still, obviously, at 1 month old, he's waking up multiple times a night. But I feel like he is starting to get into a little bit more of a day and night schedule, and that he's learning the difference between day and night, because he is a lot more awake and aware during the day now. And even when he wakes up to nurse at night, he will pretty easily go back down to sleep. And I have been trying to mostly keep him sleeping in his bassinet. And I actually am in our bedroom right now because this is our new setup with baby. I have the rocker in here in our bedroom, and we have his bassinet in our walk-in closet. We did have it right by our bed back here, but in the last week or two, as he started to get more aware, Bill and I shower at night, and we were just finding that that was disturbing him and waking him up after we had done his bedtime routine. So we ended up just putting him in our walk-in closet, and it's actually worked out really great. And having the lights on in here and that kind of thing is not bothering him. So it's almost like having his own little room, but it's still in our room. So he's right there, he's really close. So that's really nice. So we have been putting the white noise in his room. We can turn the lights out, we can close the door. We don't close it all the way, we usually just leave it cracked so we can hear him. I don't know why we didn't think of this before. It's like it works out so well. I've mentioned before that Bill and I are night owls, so we go to bed pretty late as it is. So, you know, the first couple feedings that he wakes up after our other kids go to bed, we're up anyway, so it doesn't feel like a big deal to feed him. And then basically he wakes up like once after we go to sleep, and at that point often Bill will just bring him into bed with us. And often that has been around like 4 or 5 in the morning, so I feel like that's pretty darn good that he's doing most of the night in his bassinet at this point. I'm definitely doing a combination of, you know, sleep training in his bassinet and bed sharing part of the night. And so I feel like at 1 month old, that's actually working pretty well for us. It's a good balance. Like 4th trimester, I feel like he's still getting that closeness with me, but he's also starting to learn how to be in his own space. So I'm really happy with that balance that we're at right now. Bill brings him to me and I just nurse him in the bed, and then we usually just both fall asleep right there while he's nursing. I understand all of the safe practices for bed sharing and that kind of thing. I usually just have him right up against me, you know, face out, so his face is away from me and he can breathe easily, and I have the covers away from his face, that kind of thing. So that's been working out really nice, and I am, especially this being my last baby, I am just really enjoying those early morning snuggles and just, you know, sleeping the last couple hours together like that. So that's been really nice. And it's funny, I feel like I'm doing that a lot more now than I did with my other kids. It's funny how, you know, your philosophies change. I did a little bit with my first 2, but it was usually just like naps during the day. And I remember doing it like in the morning with them too. But I feel like I'm doing it more with him just out of survival, because especially with my first, you know, like it was okay for me to get up and try and get him back in his crib or in his bassinet because I didn't have other kids to take care of during the day. So when I was a complete dead zombie the next day, I could just sleep when he slept, but I can't do that now. So it's partly just survival, and I feel like it's a good balance, and we're still working towards getting him to sleep independently. So anyway, that's how sleep is going. The kids adore him. They are just over the moon about him, especially Sophie. She's just like, she's definitely got that maternal instinct being a little girl. It's funny, it's like nature nurture, like there definitely are gender differences sometimes, and she's definitely got that maternal instinct. She wants to help every single time I change his diaper. She wants to like brush his hair. She wants to help get him dressed every morning. She wants to, you know, she loves it when I give her tasks for helping me. So that's been a lot of fun, and Alex really loves him too. He often will come and like give him kisses and snuggle him, and he, not as often as Sophie, but he does like to help as well with a lot of those baby care tasks. When he's in his swing, you know, he always makes sure that the swing is still going, you know, when it stops, and I'll cover him with a blanket and try and give him his binky, that kind of thing. It's very sweet. So, oh, binky, that's the other thing. This kid has had 0 nipple confusion. We introduced a binky on like the day my milk came in or the day after or something like that, and he's had 0 issue with nursing. And we have also, oh yeah, I should also mention this. I mentioned it in my sleep video that I talked about. We do what's called baby knockout juice, Bill calls it that. Where basically throughout the day, after I do a feeding with him, I pump hind milk. This is just like basic breastfeeding knowledge, but when you first start a feeding, the milk that comes out is very watery and it quenches their thirst, and then as they feed, it actually gets thicker and turns creamier and has a lot more of the fat and the stuff that's going to satiate them, the protein, that kind of thing. So we give him that hind milk in a bottle right before we go to bed. I talk about it in that video, but the reason we do it is it supposedly helps them go a longer stretch sleeping because they're getting all the like fatty stuff and it satiates them for a longer period of time. And so that's why I do it right before we go to sleep, so that he does his longest stretch between feedings while we're asleep. And so far he's been doing pretty well with that. Like I said, he's been going from, you know, we'll give it to him around like 1 a.m. and he'll usually go until like 4 or 5, which is awesome. Now, it's not every night. Some nights he will still wake up, and I will nurse him at that point, but I'd say more nights than not he's been going that long, so that's been really great. That's pretty much how he's doing. He's just a good-natured little guy. We just love him so much. You know, I was really thinking he was going to be kind of a rambunctious, active little guy, considering how much he moved when he was in the womb. But now we realize that he just wanted to stretch. Like, he was so cramped in there. He was a 9-pound baby when he was born, and the fact that he's grown this much in the first month just shows that, like, he's not like rambunctious, but he was just really stretching his legs out. That was one thing we noticed, was immediately out of the womb he didn't have his little like frog legs up like a lot of newborns like to have their legs up like they're still in the womb. He immediately just had his legs stretched out, and he's been that way ever since. I think those big kicks that he was doing was just him trying to stretch those little legs out, and there just wasn't enough space.
Are you done nursing?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, and those little newborn sounds, you guys, those newborn sounds. Oh, I love them. I just love them. I'm gonna miss them when they're gone. It's like one of the things I was looking forward to experiencing one more time. Is all those little newborn grunts and squeaks and squeals and coos. They're just, oh my gosh, guys. He's pretty wonderful. Those cheeks, oh my gosh, those cheekies. I know I said this before, just, I just gotta kiss him. I gotta kiss him. Yeah, I just gotta kiss him. Oh, he also, I forgot to mention, he's also, being a third child and having an older child who's in preschool, who's bringing home all the germs all the time. We all have just had a horrible cold this last month, and my son brought it home like the week after he was born, and my son had it. As you can hear, he's coughing still, see? And then my daughter had it, and then Bill got it, and then I got it, and now he has it. So even though my son has been, you know, well for a couple weeks now, the whole sickness going through all 5 of us has lasted a good 4 weeks now. So that's definitely a fun part of being a family of 5 now. We share all the germy love, don't we? And you get to experience those things. Being a fall baby and having an older brother who's in preschool. You just get all the germies. He's been very congested. We've had to use the nose Frida, which I did not use with my last kids. And I've been very happy with it. It's like, I'll put a picture of it here. You guys probably know what it is, but usually instead of using the suction bulb, which maybe I should do a review of the nose Frida versus the like little noses suction bulb, because that one's actually a pretty good one. I've been happy with that too, but you get a lot more suction with the nose Frida. So we've been clearing his little sinuses with that. He did not like that at first, but now he's used to it, and it's like he knows that he's going to be able to breathe better after we do it. You know, it's just funny. It's like once these little people are in your life, you just can't even imagine what life was like before them. They just feel like they're supposed to be there. They're meant to be part of the family, huh? You just feel like we've known you forever, huh? Anyway, in terms of me, postpartum, I feel like recovery has been, for the most part, it's been a breeze. Compared to my first recovery with my son, I could barely get out of bed for 3 weeks with that recovery. It was a 35-hour labor, and we were very sick, even sicker than this cold that we've had. I had a horrible cough, so I couldn't even lie flat right after it was horrible. Horrible recovery. And I had a little bit of tearing in that one. Sophie, night and day experience. When I had her, I was up walking immediately after I gave birth to her. You know, I had very little pain afterwards. Easy peasy recovery. And then with this guy, it's for the most part been like the recovery with Sophie. Like, I had 0 tearing this time and 0 pain down there, like at all. Even like the moment after he was born, even after my epidural wore off, like I couldn't feel anything. It was just like easy peasy, like no pain at all. So that's been a real blessing. I didn't even really have to use like all of the balms and stuff that I got for, you know, pain down there, that kind of thing. It's like nothing. It's amazing. That's been a real blessing considering my first recovery was so hard. Energy-wise, I have been taking my placenta pills, and I really feel like that this time, like I did last time, has made a huge difference in my energy and in postpartum depression. There have been a few days like when I really started to feel the blues and like feel emotional. Like any little thing sets me off and I explode. Sometimes it's bad, you know, it's like I will like snap at my husband or snap at the kids, and then I feel bad about it, you know. But when I start to feel that way, I just take a couple of extra placenta pills, and it's amazing. Like, it's fast acting. It's like those hormones really just balance out after taking them. So that has been a huge blessing, having the placenta pills again. I've been really happy with that decision again. I highly recommend it. I didn't take them with my first, and I had more postpartum depression the first time compared to the second and third time here. Emotionally, I'm doing pretty darn well. I think especially due to having the placenta pills to just even out the hormones. That makes a huge difference. And in terms of bleeding, I thought that this was going to be like a really fast recover bleeding wise, but it's actually gone on a lot longer, I think, than it did with the other two, which is strange. And it's probably because I'm a mom of 3 now, and I'm just, you know, I'm very sleep deprived. I'm having to be very active with all of my kids during my recovery. So, you know, it's like I haven't been able to just lay around as much as I probably should. But, you know, now at 4 to 5 weeks, I still have just a tiny little bit of spotting left at this point. And I'm pretty sure that I was done bleeding around 3 weeks with the other two. I can't remember for sure, but I feel like this time that has gone on a little bit longer. So hopefully that will be completely done soon. And then in terms of weight gain, my ultimate final weight gain the day I gave birth was a total of 36 pounds. So I talked all about this in my pregnancy updates. If you want to catch up on all my pregnancy updates, I will have them here in the cards. So I was so happy with that weight gain, since I gained 55 pounds with my first and 53 with my second. So 36. I'm just thrilled that that was my final weight gain. A lot like my previous birth, it's coming off pretty slow. So I'm glad that my total was only 36, that I'm at a better weight now, even though it's coming off slow, because that's just how my body works. It comes off really slow. I have now lost a total of 20 pounds since he was born. Definitely am more than halfway down, so that's good. But I'm really looking forward to my 6-week appointment, when I'll probably get the clear to start exercising again. I'll ease back into it, but my body has really started craving exercise again. I talked about how sleep is going, definitely waking up multiple times a night and going to bed later than usual, just because the whole routine changes, and having any time to myself is at night. We're hopeless night owls, and it's just so tempting to stay up a little bit later, because that's like my personal time. And same with Bill. We're just so busy with the kids during the day. It's like some days it's just the needs are non-stop, and especially like Sophie has been very needy, being 2. She adores him, but she's been very jealous of me and my time, and wants mommy for everything now, and she's, you know, been throwing a lot of tantrums, that kind of thing. And it's actually just this last week has started getting a little bit better, but for several weeks we've had some rough days. And so that's been emotionally draining, and, you know, that on top of being very sleep deprived, you know, that's just what you expect when you have a newborn. But I feel like we are starting to fall into a routine a little bit, and I know that that will really help as well with, once we get into more of a sleep schedule, sleep routine with him, that will help with the sleep deprivation and all of that. I think that's pretty much it. If I missed something, be sure to ask in the comments, and I'd be happy to answer in the comments. But yeah, overall we're doing really well. We're adjusting. We're just so happy that this little guy is in our lives. We just love him so much, and I really feel like this time being, you know, I talked about this in my pregnancy as well, being that this is my final baby, I am finding myself just really savoring all of these little moments with him, even the sleep deprivation and exhaustion. Like, I know this is the last time it's going to be like this. Along with that sleep deprivation and exhaustion comes extremely sweet little tiny baby newborn snuggles, all the sweet noises, and just it's a really special time as well, even though it's an exhausting time. So I really feel like I have that perspective now, being my 3rd child. Like, I know how fast the time goes now. Like, I know it. You know, with your first child, you feel like you're just like, okay, I can't wait for the next milestone. Can't wait for the next thing. Whereas with him, I'm just like, take your time, buddy. Take your time. You're just my little baby. I'm gonna miss this stage when it's gone, I know, even though it's hard right now. That's how things are going, and I'll probably, I remember with Sophie, I was really diligent about doing like 2, 4, 6, 8 week updates, that kind of thing. Being a mom of 3 now, I don't have time to do that kind of frequency on YouTube right now. You probably noticed that my videos are a little less frequent than I would like, but that's just kind of the reality right now. Is there's a lot of time demands right now, and that's just the season we're in, and that's fine with me. So my goal is to at least get 1 video up a week. That is where we're at with that. So thank you guys so much for following along this whole journey. I'm just so glad to have been able to share whole pregnancy and birth, and you know, now that we have a little guy here, just sharing all that with you guys and just having all those memories documented. I'm just really grateful for all that, and all of you guys and this community that I have here on YouTube is just really a wonderful thing. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and as always, if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can see any new videos that I have coming up in the future. So thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.